Let's do some Roman numeral practice. Remember that our process is first figuring out if we're in a major or minor key. Then we determine what is the scale degree of the chord we're looking at and what is the quality of that chord in that key. So first we're looking at B flat major. So all major keys are going to be major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, and diminished 7. Keep that in mind, it's very important. Our first chord here, in the key of B flat, we have a D, an F, a B flat, and a D. What is the root of that chord? D, F, B flat, B flat, D. The root of this chord is B flat, which is my tonic, and my tonic is a 1. Now, I just figure out the inversion. The D is in the bass, then the lowest note here, and so that means that it is a 1, 6. I didn't have to stop and analyze the chord at all. Let's keep going. Here, now I have C, F, A, C. Well, I can see F, A, C right there is an intact triad, so I know that F is the root of this chord. What is F in the key of B flat? Well, B, C, D, E, F. F is the 5. And what should the 5 be? The 5 should be major. Major 5. See how fast that is? Now, what's in the bass? Well, I've got a C in the bass, and that is the 5th of this chord, so I write 6, 4, because it's a second inversion 5 chord. There's no analysis needed. You just need to determine the root and what it is in the key, and then add the inversion if there is one. Next here, we have a B flat, a G, and a D. The root of that chord is G, and G is what in this key? G is the 6th, which means I write lowercase or minor 6. And which of the notes is in the bass? It's the 3rd of the chord, the middle note, so I write 6, 6, the Roman numeral 6, and then the inversion symbol 6. Here now we have a C, a G, a C, and an E flat. So the root of that chord, C, E, G, is C, and in the key of B flat major, C is the 2nd note. So C is a minor 2. Then I look for the inversion, and I see that C is in the bass already. It's root position. I don't need to add anything else. And finally here, we have F, A, C, E. I've seen this chord before. F, A, C is the 5 in B flat. And like the previous chord, this one is not inverted either, so that's it. I'm done. I just analyzed an entire line of chords in a couple of minutes, because I determined what the root was. I figured out what is that note in my key, what scale degree is it, and then I added the inversion. Simple as that. Let's do some here. Now in this key, we are going to be in the key of C sharp minor. And with Roman numerals, you're always going to have the key and a colon in front of it. Otherwise, these numerals don't necessarily tell us which pitches we're talking about. If I have the scale or I have the key here, then I have a context for what all of the numerals are referring to. If I don't, it's really ambiguous as to what I'm talking about. So C sharp minor, and I start with a C chord. So I know this is going to be a minor 1. Now I've got C sharp, E, and A. The root of that chord is A. And A in the key of C sharp is the 6th. Well, we're not in our major pattern anymore. We're in our minor pattern. So let's talk about what that minor pattern is. That's a minor 1, a diminished 2, a major 3, a minor 4, minor 5, major 6, and major 7. It's very important that you keep the minor pattern separate from the major pattern. So in this case, we said that A is 6, and 6 in minor is major. 6 is always the opposite of whatever the key is. In major, 6 is minor, and in minor, 6 is major. A is not the base of the chord. It is the root, but it's not the lowest pitch. In this case, C sharp is the lowest pitch. That's the middle note of the chord, or the third. So I write first inversion there. Now I've got F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, A. That's an FAC chord, and it's in root position. Great. Well, what is F sharp in this key? It's the 4. So I write lowercase 4. Here I've got G sharp. Oops, sorry, I noticed I have a little typo. I've got G sharp. I've got D sharp. I've got G sharp again, and I've got an accidental that created a B sharp. Well, if there's an accidental there, I know it's not going to exactly follow the pattern. I can still start with the pattern, but then I need to know what changed. So G sharp in the key of C sharp is the 5. And I know that the 5 should be minor. G sharp, B natural, D sharp is a minor chord. But I've raised the third. And when I raise the third of a minor chord, I change it from being a minor to a major. So this is G sharp major. And that means that my lowercase 5 becomes a capital 5. This is crucial that you understand this, that the chords will follow the patterns of the key unless something in here is changing the pitches that the key provides. Unless there is an accidental, there is something that is different from the key signature. If I'm only following the key signature, all of the chords will follow the key signature's pattern. But as soon as I introduce a pitch that's not part of the key signature, I have changed the chord and it no longer follows the pattern. In this case, I changed the G sharp minor chord to a G sharp major chord. It's very, very important that you keep that in mind. Now, if I had just written a G sharp minor, or I'd just written a minor 5 or a 5 without the brackets, it'd be wrong. So I have to write it this way with the major. But I shouldn't be too surprised about this chord being different or about this accidental being there, because in minor, I'm looking for that raised 7th scale degree. I'm looking for the minor 5 to become a major 5 because I'm talking about harmonic minor. And so often when we're dealing with chord progressions, we're dealing with the harmonic version of the scale. All right, one more and then we're done. We have another, we see root position chord because I see my intact triad right there, and it's C sharp, E, G sharp, C sharp. I know this one because I've seen it before. This is my tonic chord, root position 1. So to recap, with the Roman numerals, as long as there are no accidentals, as long as there's nothing that changes what's happening with the key, then I have a preset pattern that determines what all of those chords are going to be. I figure out which note is the root and what is that note's scale degree in the key I'm in. Then I know the quality of the chord and I know the Roman numeral I put. If it's inverted, I add an inversion symbol. If there's a note that has an accidental, it changes the entire quality of the chord, and I need to stop and analyze the whole chord. I can start by seeing what the chord was previously and just looking at the changes, or I can just discard that entirely and analyze the chord all by itself. Either one of those are going to work and going to show us what the right answer is. And we need to remember that when we change the quality of the chord, we change the quality of the Roman numeral. To show that it's major, I have to have the brackets on the top and the bottom. Otherwise, it's just going to be minor. The sooner you can memorize this pattern of Roman numerals, and it's very short and simple to memorize, the sooner you memorize that, the easier that all of harmonic analysis will be. And the more information you'll get about each of these chords and how they interact with each other and what their function is and how they're going to sound in a piece of music.